Hey everybody, I'm Ken Haas from Reverend Guitars. We're hanging out here again at Wildwood in beautiful Louisville, Colorado. And this week I brought my buddy Reeves Gabrels with me.
Hi, I'm Reeves. I'm a guitar player. I'm a friend of Ken's.
What brings you to us, Reeves? Tell us about you.
Well, I'm here about my signature model guitar, which we've done a special edition for Wildwood. And I'm going to be playing some of them in a little while, and we just kind of wanted to get to know you. Ken was going to give you his side of the story, and then I was going to give you mine. So maybe we should start with Ken's side of the story, seeing as how it's probably going to be full of lies, and I'll have to set the record straight.
I was born in Detroit, Michigan in 1969. Is that where I'm? Oh no, that's not where we're starting.
No.
All right.
Plus, you're not that young, are you?
I am, yeah. Sorry. You're only a couple years older than I am. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
I'm not worried about it.
When I was playing guitars in bars when I was 20 years old, I used to listen to this guy quite a bit. And the first solo record, well, I mean, it's been topped 3 or 4 times since then, but I used to drive around when I was selling guitars and paint door to door and listen to this stuff years ago. So, it's been 4 or 5 years ago now. I was at the NAMM show with Mr. Joe Naylor, and Mr. Naylor has a long relationship and history with a guitar player out of Nashville named Audley Freed, that I believe started when Audley was in the Black Crowes. And Joe and Audley, Joe's provided Audley with a couple guitars over the years, and we were meeting with him at the NAMM show, and he brought this guy along with him. And I had no idea that this was even going to happen. So I'm doing my thing, talking to dealers, selling guitars, and I keep looking over that this guy's got a couple guitars plugged into an amplifier and he's wailing away, and I keep trying to see the little name tag because it completely...
I had a beard and my hair was down to here then.
Right, and I was used to the short hair and the slick black, so I had no idea. And I saw the tag and I thought to myself, that guy has Reeves Gabrels' name badge on. There's got to be a story behind that. And then, of course, it turns out it was Reeves Gabrels. And you tried a handful, I think, of our guitars that day, including the double agent, single cutaway model with a humbucker in the bridge and a P90 in the neck. And of the handful of guitars that you tried, that one seemed to strike a chord with you. So you took that guitar from us that day, along, I believe, with a few other guitars from a few other manufacturers to audition or try out and use on some gigs and let us know what's going on. Are you with me so far?
I'm with you so far. Well, what struck me about I had played Reverend Guitars in different music stores over time. And I really liked them. Of all the guitars that are out there, the one thing I've found guaranteed was you could pick up a Reverend guitar off the rack, and it was already set up. It might not been, I tend to use 9-46 for string gauge, but they tend to be set up with 10s. But other than that, the setup is impeccable. And to see that kind of attention to detail, and they ring and they play in tune, and they're reasonably priced. They're not guitars. I mean, I think guitars should be, you develop an affection for them, but they should still be tools, and they shouldn't be something you got to keep in the glass case or something that only lives in your den. When your buddies come over and smoke cigars and you look at all the guitars look at all the things I've got, that kind of thing. And so when I went to the NAMM show, Audley had been at the Reverend booth, and he came and grabbed me. He goes, you got to come over and meet these guys. So I did, and I ended up going back home with that guitar, and then should I name companies?
Probably not necessary.
Okay, I went back home with guitars from 3 other companies, all in the $3,000 to $5,000 price range, and which, you know, it's nice that people trust me with their instruments and want me to play them. I'm flattered by that. I don't take that for granted. But I went home and I set them up all in my living room, and I was having like my own personal little guitar wine tasting where I would go from one to the next, and I had several gigs that week, and I would bring two of them to every gig, but what started happening was that the Reverend was always coming along. That was my fallback guitar. It quickly became like the guitar that I had owned for years that I would have brought with me as the spare, or not as the spare, but as the one that's going to work no matter what happens. And then the other guitars I brought along just to, you know, try. And so I'd strap one of those on, play for 2 songs, go, and then put the Reverend back on. So that kind of confused me, but also affirmed something that I've always believed, because I've always been a fan of like Les Paul Juniors and you know, Squire Strats, and not to say that Reverends are in that same category, but they're working man's guitars, and melody makers, things of that sort. So I boxed the other 3 guitars up, and then I thought maybe I should give Reverend a call, you know, and just, you know, say I'd really like to keep this guitar or something like that. And I think Ken has a distinctive memory of that may or may not be true.
Oh no, it's true. I'm sitting in the office one afternoon after lunch, and the phone rings, and I hear, "Is this Ken Haas?" "Yeah, this is Ken Haas." "Ken Haas, this is Reeves Gabrels. I have a problem." And I right away think, everybody always has a problem.
Didn't you say something out loud after that?
I might have. Yeah, I think I held the phone away from my ear and said, "Why does everybody have a GD problem?" You know, because it was only noon, and it's the guitar industry, right? I'd only had a half a cup of coffee so far. So I put the phone back up to my ear and go, "Yeah, Reeves, what's the matter?" And Reeves says, "I can't put this guitar down. It's coming to every gig. I'm playing it all the time. Is Joe there?" And of course it was only noon, so Joe wasn't there. And I said, "Well, no, Joe's not here, but I'll tell him that you called." And Reeves said, "Yeah, you tell Joe if he's ever interested in working with me or doing a model with me or anything. I'd be open for anything that you guys came up with." So I, of course, was floored because, you know, this guy was one of my heroes since I was a little
Since you were
kid.
Maybe 6'2". Yeah.
And Joe comes in the office, and in his usual busy, got things to do, and I just kind of leaned back in my chair and said, "Hey, Joe, Reeves loves the guitar and is interested in maybe doing a model with us." And Joe just freezes, looks at me and says, "What's his number?" And that was about all the convincing that it took to get the ball rolling, to turn what was essentially our double agent a few years ago into the Reeves Gabrels.
I mean, I didn't change. I really like the shape of this guitar. So there was no reason. I mean, you know, a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, you know, you designed the whole thing." And no, this was basically your guys. The body shape was your design. I mean, my influence, or what I changed, was the pickup. You know, the pickups and now the tremolo. But it is basically, you know, it adheres to the original vision, you know, because like why go to a company like a lot of people do? Why go to a company and have them make something completely different from what they already make? You know, I mean, if you're going to align yourself with somebody, it should be because they're already making something you like, you know. And that's what that was the thing that really drew me. There was that to Reverend, because it was already pretty much there. you know, in spite of the fact that I did have to deal with Ken. But, you know, you take the good stuff with the bad stuff.
Well, and I, you know, we've been obviously thrilled for the last few years that we've had this association to have Reeves to, you know, drag out to trade shows and get the wheelchair out and roll him up onto the stage.
It's a walker. It's a walker.
Prop him up with a walker and put the guitar in his hand and have him lay waste to.
Well, one of the nicest, the nicest things that got said was after I played at the All-Star Guitar Show last summer in Nashville. Mm-hmm. Was after playing with James Burton and Brent Mason and a bunch of other country monkeys. Joe Naylor comes up to me and he says, "You're not right. I like you." So that's when I knew I was home.